Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? On my X, we're back at you. It is the big episode 10. We made it, boys. You know, a very special milestone for us. We've been doing this for 10 weeks straight. First of all, I got to give a shout out to my co-hosts, Wes and Goofy, obviously, for sticking this out, hanging with me for 10 weeks straight. Pretty awesome. So, Wes, how's your week been, man?
It's been pretty good, right? The Ravens got a dub. Unfortunately, Tennessee got smacked down by Georgia, so they're no longer the hottest team in the country. And that's a pretty hard pill to swallow. But other than like the sports drama that's going on, pretty relaxing. Get to start rehab this week, actually, so I'm super excited about that.
Nice.
And looking forward to that grind. But overall, just continuing to work and put in the effort. So
they're not going to be all gimpy anymore on that arm. You'll be
gimpy. I mean, I'm still bigger than both of y'all, so I don't want to hear anything.
Why am I getting it?
Because I know you're just so you are in the right mindset. I don't want you slumping out and making gimpy comments.
And obviously, you got to give us the super quick Among Us lobby recap how the week has been.
It's chalked. It's chalked. I'm about to leave the Discord. It's getting reckless. And
uninstall the game.
The Discord is out of control. We got all sorts of people I've never heard of coming in there, voting me off in the first round based off zero information. It's absolutely chalked.
They got to get off the ship. Faisal, Goofy, glad to have you with us as well as always, my guy. How's your week been, man?
It's been good. Played in, I will talk about it in the episode, but we played in that Halo 3 tournament and ended up winning that, so that was fun. And also just between work and sports, like Wes, it's been a pretty busy week. Went by pretty quickly, but the Lakers just won in 6. LeBron James getting that 4th ring. It's crazy. That was obviously it was a blowout of a game, but I'm happy that I at least won 6 games and we got a lot of basketball. So now I'm ready for the next season. So it's been a good week, man. It's been good.
Yeah. Glad to be here with you guys, man. It's been an interesting day. I'm not going to spend too much time. I don't want to be a down or anything like that. I mean, my grandpa did pass away today. So spent the day with the family, kind of trying to celebrate his life more and not spend time mourning because that's not what he would want. So just spent the day kind of reflecting with family and, remembering the man that he was. So it was an interesting day in that sense. Also, I mean, you could say this is planned and you wouldn't be wrong, but hold on.
Wardrobe change?
I don't know what's going on right now.
Oh, the Lakers wardrobe change. Okay, I respect it. All right.
Well, I was
okay.
You know the vibes, baby. We're world champions in 6, back on top, 17th banner, tying the Celtics.
You might as well have been wearing that. You might as well have been wearing that since the Western Conference Finals because the NBA's been over for about a month now.
So it feels good to be back, baby. It feels good to be back on top. LeBron obviously doing what he does, but Rondo, holy man, really being a difference maker.
Rondo's a real thing.
So
very real.
Yeah. So cool to win that championship. But it's episode 10, and we've got some super exciting stuff lined up for you, Wes.
Yeah. More important things, and an actual Lakers fan in himself. We actually have a special guest joining us on My X. It's episode 10. Like we said, we were going to get somebody good. We got somebody great. It's Frosty.
Oh my God!
Look at him.
We got Frosty. Bradley Bergstrom on My X episode 10. How you doing, Brad?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing good, man. We just saw you win yet another esports arena tournament. The GOAT Squad was the team name. So you guys came back from the losers bracket like the goats that y'all are. Want to find game 3s both times. So went to the brink. Tell us about that tournament, man. How'd it go?
Honestly, it was kind of weird. Like, it's called me and my girlfriend. We got some brunch, and we may or may not have smashed an entire bottle of champagne.
I saw that. Saw it on Instagram.
Yeah. So like
before the tourney.
Yeah, before the tourney.
Oh my savage!
I can definitely handle it. Like, I wasn't feeling anything, but like when I was playing throughout the day, just like the coordination just was not there with my hands. So like, I don't know. If you guys watch the games, like it definitely seemed a little out of whack, but finally got it together towards the end of it. So
I would definitely say you sobered up towards the end because if anybody was watching that game,
the thing is, I was sober the whole time. I couldn't aim.
I mean, that game
He's like,
3
I
on
was sober. I
Empire,
just didn't have any coordination.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just weird. I felt completely normal the whole time.
I mean, we saw how smooth your aim was looking on Saturday, you know, so the difference between Saturday and Sunday was like, whoa. But am I the only person that heard he was just like, oh, yeah, we got some brunch, and then we may or may not have smashed, and then there was like a gap, and I was like, oh. But then he said the bottle, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know?
That was definitely
The pre-game rituals.
I woke up, was checking my Instagram stories today. I saw Jenna posted something, saw like this nice brunch, 2 orange juice canvases. I'm like, they're drinking mimosas. I'm like, Brad got a brunch today.
That's like a brunch with some mimosas on a Sunday. That's lovely, honestly.
Absolutely love mimosas.
I respect it, but what I was going to say is if anybody out there wants to learn how to play Empire Strongholds to a perfection, go back and watch that rebroadcast of Frosty's stream, because I've never seen a dominant player just take over with those kind of players in his lobby. I mean, Brad, you were making those kids literally look like they weren't pros, is what I said to you before this interview. It's just like, I mean, no matter who you ran into, it was an instant 5. They couldn't hit you. It was like something about you disables their ability to shoot at times. It's kind of insane.
He has an aura of heavy aim around him, where if as soon as they enter his vicinity, nobody can aim. They're all heavy. And
I actually wanted to ask a question. I remember when we were commentating on yesterday, and Shyway was saying, Brad, he was watching your stream, and you mentioned something about Halo 5 and how now something about it clicked. And now you're just feeling like you're kind of back to your dominating self. Not to say even when you were getting started, you were still dominating. But what specifically has like changed for you coming back to Halo 5 now and kind of separating yourself as like that best player again?
Right. So like, I mean, obviously I've been playing for, I mean, I don't know exactly, but it's been like a few months now, just like getting back in the swing of things. And like, something kind of like fell off. Like I was still playing really well. But it just didn't like, I usually have like a rhythm, you know, when I'm in a game, and it just kind of like everything kind of clicks and makes sense for me. But I wasn't really getting that like I used to. Like I remembered back in like 2018, 2017, stuff like that. And like apparently I had some like controller issue. Like the controller I was playing with had like built-in input delay. It's really weird. So
what the?
I literally just tried a default controller, you know, just to see if like that made a difference. And I instantly noticed it. Like I can notice it just playing like, you know, just a normal matchmaking game. Like my movement and just my shot felt just so much better. And I kind of got like glimpses of those like 2018, 2017 days, you know?
Dude, there were some plays. Yeah, there were some plays on Saturday, especially where like, you know, you guys were playing that no ice team, which randomly like showed up and was playing really good on that day. Yeah. And there was like some moments where it looked like they can maybe steal a game away or whatever, and you would just snuff that out. You know, you had like a sequence where you snipe like 2 people and then you got like a 2-for-1 on people spawning. So then they're all weak, and it was just like, oh no, Frosty wants this series to be over right now. So yeah, that controller is definitely some magic.
I think Frosty said it best when it just looked like that 2018 Frosty, where it was just he was doing things that were just rude, honestly. And he shouldn't be doing that stuff to the other team.
Yeah, definitely felt like hitting some final form again, just like I used to.
Yeah, how are you liking playing Halo 5? By the way, I know obviously it's your game, but I know a lot of people have pushback with it's Xbox, it's there's input delay, it's 60 frames. Do you have those same kind of concerns, or is it for you? Is it all just the same and it's Halo?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just love Halo 5, just in general. So I'm willing to, put in the grind for even with those issues going on. Like it definitely sucks. The input delay and heavy aim is like almost unbearable at times, but it's just something I push through just because of the love of the game. And obviously like with these tournaments being held, it just gives me more of a reason to put in the work and like just grind, just give people some content, also some entertainment.
Yeah, the snowmen are growing by the day.
I was going to say the stream grind is awesome and appreciated too by the Halo community, because we all love watching you play and stream. So the fact they do that all the time is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The snowmen, like I said, I think what did I see? Over 800 right now. I mean, that's pretty insane. Yeah. I think you might have the most in Halo right now. It's got to be you or TJ at the top.
Yeah, something like that.
Especially as far as competitive Halo goes.
Yeah, competitive for sure. I think as far as
those damn Sentinels boys, man, taking over Halo 5, taking over Halo 3. They're just God.
Yeah, we're a content team now.
I'm sick of it.
We've been uploading a bunch on YouTube. We're just strictly content now.
Yeah, I respect
do it,
man.
The Halo scene needs that. The Halo scene needs that.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to ask. It's great to have you back in Halo, obviously, and you left Halo for a little bit. You went over to Call of Duty. You did the whole franchise league thing, did the homestands thing. So I just want to touch on that for a little bit. What was it like to kind of transition after being like the greatest Halo 5 player and being like the best at your craft, right? You have to immediately switch crafts because you have to pursue this career in Call of Duty. What was it like to kind of switch games and kind of have to fight for like through the ranks once again as a competitive player, and then all of a sudden you kind of reached that mountaintop when you got to win a couple of tournaments as well. So what was that experience like, picking up from a position of like you're no longer the greatest player in the game, but you ended up almost getting there?
Gotcha. Well, I mean, first off, thank you for the compliments. But I mean, yeah, honestly, like going from like being at the top to like basically ground zero, like I was honestly super fortunate to be able to get on the initial team that I did with that E6 squad. They're actually just like a really, really good group of amateur players. So thankfully with them, like I was able to like instantly make it pro pretty much. And like, honestly, like my mindset with that is, like obviously I had a goal of like trying to become a pro player and like try to be like at the top eventually. But I mean, my mindset at the end of the day is just try to be the best player that I can be. And so that's just like kind of what I focused on. And I know with like previous players switching from Halo to Call of Duty, like Formula 1 Enable, I knew like it definitely was not out of the realm of possibility for me to do the same thing. So I kind of just like had that in mind. You know, there wasn't really any pressure for me to perform or anything like that. I just kind of like did my thing. I put in the hours and, you know, just kind of try to learn the game as best as I possibly could.
That kind of feeds right in. Go ahead, Wes.
I remember when I first heard that you were kind of considering it, and I think I was talking to Jenna at the time, and I was just like, it really doesn't matter what this kid does. He's going to be great at it, right? And it's just a matter of time. And then to sit back and be able to watch you win a couple of those homestands, it was like, man, you're just a generational talent at that point, right? I mean, like you get put in the categories of Crim 6, Formal, like those guys.
Small handful of people that
I mean,
that
not even say that. Yeah. I don't even know if there's 5 out there. And it's been special to watch that journey for sure. But like I said, taking it back, it's great to have you back in Halo where you belong.
Yeah.
My question
got to be back home for sure.
My question kind of stems from that. I mean, I think when we look at you and your kind of rise in Halo, it was pretty fast. It was like you kind of burst on the scene in H2A, and by the time Halo 5 was out, you were winning events. And similarly in Call of Duty, it took you less than 2 years to win in both. What do you kind of attribute your ability to find success so rapidly to? What about you is so, I guess, adaptable?
I mean, honestly, to me, I feel like mindset is like one of the most important things they can have as a person. You know, like for me, like I said before, it's not like obviously my goal is to become like a pro player and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like I literally get on every single day, just trying to improve myself as a player, and that's it. You know, nothing more, nothing less. I feel like there's pretty much no pressure at all if just having that mindset. So I can just get on every single day. And like I have the utmost motivation just because like I literally just want to improve. It doesn't matter what I'm playing. I'm just like getting on, just like trying to get better day in and day out.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
I love that. Yeah, it's all about how you practice, right? You got to make the practice valuable. So
yeah, exactly.
Really quick, I mean, you've won 3 events with the Mutineers, and you've won countless Halo championships, world championships. If you're getting $1 million, regardless of the game you're playing, what game are you playing?
I mean, like I said, my home is definitely with Halo. Like I grew up playing this game. It gives me the most satisfaction, gives me the most dopamine. It's just, I don't know. I just have a deep love for Halo. Like I definitely love Call of Duty and stuff like that. I enjoyed my time over there competing and stuff like that. But like I literally started playing Halo when I was like 4 years old. So it's definitely, like I said, I'm glad to be back.
Hell yeah. Well, Frosty's back to Halo. What everyone loves to hear. So Brad, now that you're back and you're back with the Dynasty, you know, that's Frosty, Lethal, Royal 2, Snakebite, and of course Royal 1. Shout out to Chris. But now you guys get to continue, you know, the legacy that you guys have cemented for yourselves, and you get to kind of continue to write what the future for this group of 4 players is going to be. Kind of tell us about how do you feel about being back with the group of guys on Sentinels, and what are your aspirations kind of going into Halo Infinite?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great to be back with this group of guys just because, like, I mean, plain simple, like, they're just winners, they just know how to win. They're just champions at the end of the day. And, like, obviously with Call of Duty, there's so many different players, and, like, there's people who are capable of winning, but then there's people who just simply know how to dominate, and they know how to put in the work to do so. And there's no like excuses or anything like that. Like this group of guys, they just get on every single day, put their heads down, they know how to improve, and they know how to win. So like having these players by my side is just a great feeling, because like I said with Call of Duty, I just like, it was definitely like super tough, because you kind of have that like underdog mentality at all times.
Who's the one person in the Call of Duty scene that if you got to put your own team together in Call of Duty, who's the one person that you would grab first?
I mean, instantly, Shotzi.
That'd be a nasty duo.
Yeah. No, he's just insane. Like, I don't know. Like, even before he even touched the 6 on Call of Duty, like, I knew he was going to be one of the best players. And like, the first event came around, obviously he didn't do that well, but like, he was getting so much criticism for it. But like, I knew like it didn't matter. It was just a matter of time before he was on top.
Yeah, I think I kind of had similar visions of, I guess, just yourself and him, right? Like when I heard Shotzi was going over to Call of Duty, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be just fine, just like Brad is, right? You kind of just know he's another one of the handful of just generational absolute talents. He's obviously ascended to the world champion in 2 different games, so that's a pretty wild claim to be able to have. So Halo definitely misses him, but at least we got one half of those guys back in the scene and the talents that we get to see. I guess something I wanted to touch on was, so when you left the Call of Duty, it kind of left the Tox guys. I think they were still Tox at the time. They had to have been. It kind of left them looking for a fourth, and we've seen pieces of that Tox roster kind of trying to form like dominant squads, and they've had a lot of success without you, but it was never like they're getting onto scrim and every expectation of an 11-0 against any other team is kind of the bar that's set, right? I mean, those guys, they won 11-0 everybody, and it felt like when you guys were a team, you guys did just about that most of your scrims. I remember I would always get on and be like, how'd the scrims go? And you'd be like 10-1. I'd be like, what game type did y'all lose? But what do you think it is about that 4 group of guys, I guess, that's so special? And I mean, because we saw so many great players like Eco, APG, Neptune. They've had so many different combinations of force. They've even played with like third and force in some tournaments. Like it's been a pretty wild ride for them, and I know that they've had a lot of success, but there's something about those 4 group of guys. I know we kind of touched on it earlier. That's special, but like, what is it that all 4 of you guys just like something just clicks and you guys just happen to be like the best team?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it like earlier, just with myself. Like, I think it's just another mindset thing, like the thing that makes like us just as a group of players, and as well as like individually, like everyone just has this like mindset that kind of separates themselves from like everybody else. Like obviously everyone gets on, like they want to improve, they want to get better and stuff like that, but we just take it to another level. We try to become like a cohesive unit, and like everyone has the same goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think they're an incredible team, but you just take and elevate them to a whole nother level. They become unstoppable with you, damn near. I want to touch on something juicy, man. I want to let's have some fun with the show. Let's talk about some hot takes, some drama. We all saw the tweets when Sentinels announced you're coming back, and the one that everyone obviously was loving and gassing was the hey, I don't F with you at all, but good looking out to the Mutineers. Can you walk us through a little bit of that situation and how you guys ended up at odds like that? How did that all play out?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't know, to me in my situation, I'm not going to go into like too much detail, but like from my side of things and just like what I experienced towards the end of the season, I just like basically got done dirty. So, there's no like bad blood between me, any of the players or any of the management. In this case, it was like literally just the management. With like that's like kind of how I got dropped and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I just felt like I got wronged, and I feel like my emotions are definitely warranted with that tweet.
I know.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I spent
mean,
like 15 minutes looking at the mentions, and I just saw like just about every COD pro, just about
Everyone
every,
had your
like,
back
Halo
there.
pro.
Yeah,
everybody
everyone
was
was
there,
gassing it
absolutely.
up. So it was
Yeah.
definitely- even though like from the outside I didn't have like too much of context of what happened. I mean, I think like generally like as a community, people knew that there was something that they messed up on in terms of the Mutineers management and kind of letting you go. In my opinion, that was a horrible decision just because of the potential that you have as a player and what you've proven in Halo. So now I'm not going to complain about it because you're back to Halo. So that's why I'm happy for it. But yeah, I think it was definitely a big mistake. And yeah, even just seeing that short tweet and like the way you put it, it just blew up for a reason on Twitter. So it was a savage response.
Yeah, such good content. I mean, it just blows my mind, and I don't know a lot of what goes on behind the scenes in Call of Duty, but I was mentioning with the guys last week on the show, it blows my mind that out of, I don't know how many franchises are there, like 16, 7, I don't know, in that ballpark, 12. Okay, so if there's like 12, franchise teams, and here you are on a Mutineers team that was very heavily like underdog type of team this whole season, ends up winning 3 events, and you get shafted on that team for whatever reason, and not one single team, out of those bottom, teams was able to or willing to make moves to grab you. It just kind of blows my mind that, you fell through the cracks, and I think that they're all sleeping, man, because to win an event, it takes a special kind of talent. Go ahead, Wes.
I slipped up and said some names. I think it was our last episode where I was like, I said like, there's no way Frosty isn't on a team in college, and no one signed Frosty to Call of Duty. I mean, I watched every event. I watch you guys scrim. I watch way too much Call of Duty. In my free time, I always have like a stream on when I'm working or whatnot, because you guys would like scrim during the day. And I was like, there's no way some of these guys, and I actually said a couple of names. I was like, there's no way that these guys are like getting signed to teams and Brad's not, because I've watched enough to be able to tell you that Frosty's been playing COD for 2 years and he's better than these guys that have been playing for 10, and they're on their way out. But I'll refrain from name dropping. I don't know any of those individuals like that, so I'm not going to just make bad blood over that. But you definitely have a place in just about any first-person shooter league you probably want to play in. I bet you could make there's probably a reservation for you at that table. Lightening it up a little bit, I guess I want to give an opportunity for people to kind of learn more about you outside of you being the most dominant Halo player in the past, 4 or 5 years, it feels like. So let's learn more about Bradley Bergstrom. You got 2 pups. I know you got a new one, Lil Bean.
Yep, Lil Bean.
And then they got Lola. I know they're typically behind you playing while you stream. What's it like having the new pup in town, and how's Lola dealing with him?
Yeah, I mean, when we got our first dog, Lola, we got her when she was 6 months, actually. So we didn't really go through that puppy sort of stage with her. She was pretty well trained already. But with Bean, we got him right out the gate, pretty much. I think he was like 8 or 9 weeks or something like that. So there was definitely a big learning period with him, and then there still is. He's still getting comfortable with his environment and stuff like that, and we're still teaching him a bunch of different things. But I mean, I feel like overall it's going really well. So definitely excited to have him kind of fully grown and actually be comfortable in this environment that we put him in.
French bulldogs don't get too big, so it looks like he's almost fully grown at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
So who came up with the names, just out of curiosity?
Well, funny enough, I'll start off with Lola. She's actually that was actually a name given by the breeder. So we just kind of kept that name. We didn't really want to change it. And then with Bean, that was also his name from the breeder. And I don't know why. We just like that name, and we just decided to keep it. And it kind of fits him really well. He's got a lot of energy, and he's kind of like a jumping bean. So kind of works out.
That's awesome.
You recently moved to Texas. You're from Knoxville. Go Vols. What's the move been like? How's Austin treating you? Anything that you missed from Tennessee, or I guess just how's the overall experience been?
Yeah, I mean, this is the 5th time I've moved locations at this point. I've been all over. But yeah, well, actually, I was in Pflugerville originally, which is an adjacent city to Austin, literally in the same area pretty much. But I had to move whenever I got picked up on the Florida team. I literally moved here, was here for 2 months, and then I had to move to Florida. Horrible, by the way. I would never ever move there. So I moved out whenever I got the green light. So then I moved back to Austin. But yeah, now we're all settled in. Loving it so far. Austin's a beautiful city. There's a bunch of great people here. So definitely enjoying like being in a place where I actually like enjoy living.
Texas seems to be the move. That seems to be where a lot of people are rolling out to. Faisal's obviously there as well. Let's try to wrap it up for Bradley. So, last couple of things. Faisal, I know you've had a couple of things you want to ask him. Go ahead and, what's your kind of last question for the man that we have here?
Oh yeah, sure. So Frosty, like we talked about a little bit, you've been streaming a lot on Twitch. So just let the people know, are you pretty much only streaming Halo 5 when you stream? Do you hop on and stream other games? And kind of what are your plans for your stream moving forward? And are you planning to continue the journey that you've been on? And your stream, the snowmen are growing. You're at a high number of subscribers now, and your stream's kind of popping. So what's the plan for your stream's future, and kind of what games do you plan on incorporating in it?
Right. So, obviously recently I've just been streaming a bunch of Halo 5 because that's like the only thing I'm playing right now. I absolutely love streaming. So whenever I get the chance to, like, I try to stream as much as I can. I don't really like take days off or anything like that. If I'm available, I'm always streaming. But yeah, for right now, I'm just playing Halo 5. I do have plans to compete in the Challengers League of Call of Duty. So that will take some of my streaming time up. But I'll probably end up streaming some Call of Duty as well. But for the most part, it's like I'll just be playing Halo for now until the game drops.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, before I pass it on to Wes or Justin, whoever wants to take it, in case you guys, obviously you can find him streaming at twitch.tv/Frosty. We'll put his stuff in the description down below. Make sure you guys check out his stream and support this legendary gamer.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Wes.
Join the snowman. I'm 40 something months into my snowman experience, and I don't regret one of the months. There's always content. There's always, I watch you and I always say, like, Frosty reminds myself why I'm a retired player. It's because
I remember you saying this.
very, very few players have I ever been able to just sit back and watch your gameplay and be like, in my prime, on my best day, I don't know if I was that good. And
it's just an average day for Frosty. He's just playing like casually.
and I'm an extremely self-confident person, so for me to say that is very humbling experience.
Something.
That's like the ultimate compliment I'll ever give you. That being said, I'll probably still beat you one-on-one.
Yeah.
Closing question. I guess here's a good one. That shirt you got on, the guest shirt.
Yep.
I feel like I've seen it a lot throughout your career. I feel like just about every time you're not forced to wear a jersey on Championship Sunday or whatnot, that guest shirt makes an appearance. Is that the lucky shirt, or is it just by chance that you're able to wear it today and win another tournament?
I could be wrong here, but I do have a very similar guest shirt to this. It's also red, but instead of like the peachy color, it's like an orange color. So I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I don't think I've worn this to an event or anything like that. I think I've been wearing the other one, but they are very similar.
Okay, so you just got a wardrobe of similar guest shirts.
Oh yeah,
they're dope shirts. I have one too. Just for the record, Brad.
Yeah, no, we were rocking it at Atlantic City.
Yes,
pretty sure we both had one on when we were playing.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, I'm watching the Spider-Man meme right now, like the pointing at each other, like when I was watching you guys play each other. So thank you so much, Bradley, for coming on the show. My final question is, who's your least favorite Halo player?
Least favorite Halo player?
Wow.
He's baiting me really, really hard.
This is a good one.
No, I'm totally kidding. If you had some advice for up and coming players in either Halo or COD, like if you could narrow it down to one single thing for them to focus on to find success, what would it be?
I kind of get that question asked a lot in my stream. I'll kind of touch on what I said earlier. It's just kind of a mindset thing. Whenever you get on, just make sure you're improving every single day. Try not to make any excuses and try not to joke around as much, because that will definitely hinder your improvement for that day.
No excuses. I love that, man. That's awesome. And something you guys can all learn from. So with that being said, I think we can let you go. Brad, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Brad.
that.
Thank you,
First
Brad. Much
guest
love.
ever. All right. Take care, brother.
Yep. See you guys later. Have a good night.
You too.
First guest we've ever had on the show, Frosty.
Now,
what an honor.
For everyone
man.
watching, okay, exclusive interview with Frosty. And
That doesn't
the fact
happen
that,
often.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often. So we're extremely happy that we were able to get him on the show. And like Justin was saying, it's our 10th episode. So we've been mentioning it since the first one. The 10th one's always going to be a benchmark for us. I feel like then after 10, it's like 50 almost, or maybe 25. But it's one of those numbers that we had to make it meaningful. And the fact that we got Halo 5's best player and one of Halo across Halo's history.
Wait.
Yeah, whoa. I was going to say, what the?
He is Halo 5's best player.
Arguably Halo 5's best player.
We caught him. He slipped
this.
up.
Yeah, slipped up, Faisal.
He slipped.
Arguably Halo 5's best player. The fact
You
that
want
we're able to
everything
get
he
him on the
slipped
show.
up.
Oh, my gosh,
messing with
Faisal.
you.
You're giving this guy
Yeah.
ammunition.
No. I mean, I've said it since the start. Even when I said Shotzi, I said if you want to say Frosty, I'm not gonna. It's just such a preference thing, right? But they're both obviously dominant. But the fact that we're able to get him for the show, we're all super excited, and we hope you guys enjoyed it.
Shout out to Wes for setting that up. Like,
Dude,
way
let
to
me
go,
be the
bro.
first one. Yeah, I touched on this a second ago. It is not easy to get an interview with Frosty. When I coached Frosty, when we were on CLG, they would be like, "Yo, Frosty, you want to go up for the interview?" He'd literally look at us and go, "Are you kidding me?" Like, it wouldn't even be like Snakebite was like forced to do every interview, and then like TJ would do like 1 out of 3, and then everybody else was like, "Absolutely not! I'm here to win a tournament. Like that's all I want to do."
Yeah.
So he's kind of coming out of his shell more and more as the years go by, and I guess being a celebrity will do that to you, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he's more than out of his shell. He's blossomed. He's like blowing up in terms of like his esports presence, not just in Halo, but across different titles. Which, like we mentioned in the interview, it's not even 3-4 people can say that. So definitely some legendary people that he's in a bubble with. But now we can kind of switch gears a little bit to kind of fill you guys in on everything else that's Halo esports across the last week. And, we can kind of have an open discussion about, what we saw today with the esports arena tournament, what we saw in the first ever, the first ever Halo 5 Pro Series tournament to talk about really quickly. And also on Friday, we had that Halo 3 tournament, and we had a little bit of an On My X finals there. So let's start with the Halo 3 one. It was on Friday. So Justin, I'll pass it to you, man. I want to ask you about, the squad you guys put together. I know that group of guys goes back so far, and you guys have been friends for so long that, of course, Hunter JJX, Straight Sick, Frosty, and Alumni. And those guys made an incredible run. You guys came all the way to the finals.
Yeah.
So, tell us about that and the tournament in general.
Yeah. To talk about that team really fast, I can't think of a more perfect team for me to have been a part of for something like that. Frosty, the truth, not Frosty that we just had on the show, the OG Frosty, who was a pro player dating all the way back to 2006. He kind of was all of our mentors growing up. So I met Frosty when I was 14, and Straight Sick was around at that time. He was 12, and that's when we kind of first started playing with Frosty, and he was a pro player, and we kind of all looked up to him. So he was
Cali kids.
Yeah, he was sort of the Cali, like he kind of ran, not gonna lie, he ran California. My first experience of meeting him was him telling me, "Hey man, like you're pretty sick, you're pretty talented, but you have absolutely no brains." Like that was my first experience of meeting him, and he beat us in a finals at a local or whatever. And so to have like a team that goes back that far, it's kind of players that have all been raised up by Frosty at like different points in their career. Obviously with Straight Sick, myself, and then Alumni later on in his career. And so I reached out to Straight Sick, and I was like, dude, like with these Halo 3 tournaments going on, like you got no pro status or anything at stake. Like you got to do at least one of these with us, bro. Like, come on, like how fun would it be to get the boys back together, for a run? And he was kind of in between team stuff, and he was like, you know what? Like I think I could actually make that work. Like that would be fun. And so I was super stoked to have him kind of jump in with us. And then obviously we made that run. We had some fun matches. We got to play against the finals team from last weekend, which was Hysteria, Neighbor, Aries, and Gab. We played them in the semifinals. Went to a crazy game 5 Amp Slayer, which was like crazy hype, people screaming in the mics, Frosty getting hyped up, us just talking like crazy trash. Ended up just destroying them in the game 5 and going to the finals. And to do that, you know how it is, Faisal, when you do it with the boys, it's a whole different level of like fun and connection, you know. So we made it to the finals there, and then obviously matched up an extremely talented team with you guys, and you know, we ended up losing there. But man, it was a fun Friday, a great way to spend the day, and had a lot of fun with that tournament. What was your kind of, you know, experience in the tournament? I know you haven't dropped a game, and I was telling you on your stream, I was like, is Faisal the Halo 3 GOAT? No matter where he goes, he's winning now. Like, yeah, what was that like for you, man?
No, I'm not even gonna front. My teammates all played amazing. So yeah, it's been cool. You know, it's no secret Halo 3 is, you know, I love that game. It's the Halo game that brought me into the series and just really kind of started my fandom for just competitiveness and just a team culture and just what it takes to win. It really built a lot of who I am as a person. So Halo 3 is definitely always going to have a special place for me. So the fact that we get to play on PC, unlimited frames, you know, with the new update on in 2020,
oh my gosh, the new update's so sick.
I'm going to take full advantage of it and enjoy it until Halo Infinite comes out. And yeah, it's been cool. But, you know, last week I played with Lethal, APG, and Gilkey, and we went undefeated. And this week those guys were playing with Trippy, and I ended up, you know, hitting up Ryan, Noob, and Rain and Shelly, and we actually ended up matching against Lethal and them and beat them in a really close series right before we matched up against y'all. It was a 3-0, but it was close, and I'm sure we're gonna keep, you know, matching up against each other with different people, whoever, you know, whatever teams we end up making, because it's kind of like that right now. But yeah, it was great
fun to have the On My X showdown, right? It was like, I get to play Faisal.
I wanted to stress that a little bit too. I was so happy that you guys made it all the way to the finals, because we got to kind of have that little plug On My X finals, you know. Yeah. So it was cool. But we can switch gears now. I want to pass it over to Wes. Kind of break down. We you know, talk to the guys or talk to everybody about the, you know, how we commentated with Shyway and just what you saw in the Halo 5 Pro Series, like the first major Pro Series tournament.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, we're actually we're always looking to try and do some kind of form of broadcast for these open HCS Halo 5 Pro AM series and the Pro Series. So this weekend we had the Pro Series, and it's twitch.tv/onmyx show. You can go back and watch the rebroadcast if you want to see it. But it's us three, and then we got Shawway joining us, and what we did was we commentated everything in the bracket play that we could. We kind of looked over the pool play, waited for those results. But what we saw was we got to see Sentinels with the addition of Neptune kind of put on a performance that really replicates everything that we saw out of Sentinels back when they used to play Halo 5. They're light years ahead of them. It looks like, and Neptune fills in for Lethal's spot because Lethal doesn't want to get on Halo 5 right now. But Neptune does. He fills in those shoes pretty much perfectly right now, giving them that slaying power that Lethal brings to that team, and they looked dominant.
Yeah, it was. I think last week, the week prior, whatever, when they played Inconceivable in that finals, they won 2 games, and in the third game they were up big, and they kind of let their foot off the gas and ended up losing 2 games and went to game 5. This week it was like they won the 2 games, they went up big in game 3, and they literally just like stomped them out. It wasn't even, they didn't let them have room to come back, and that series was over pretty fast, you know. And to do stuff like that against, it's not like they're playing against, you know, your Randys. Like, those are the other best players in the world, and you literally,
that's the second best team.
Exactly. They've proven themselves to be the second best team in both Halo 3 and Halo 5, and you're making them look like it's just another matchmaking game. Like, it's simple. And watching Frosty screen throughout that series, it was like so smooth, so many good plays being made. I kind of have a question for you, Faisal. You know, you jumped in with us. It was awesome to have you back on the show with us. Like, what would it take for, you know, someone to take down this Sentinels roster? I
think it's at the end of the day, it's about who's on fire when the tournament on the day of the tournament. But that edge typically is always in favor of the group on Sentinels. When you think about Royal 2, Snakebite, and Frosty, right? Obviously, they have Neptune, who is he's a monster. A lot of you people watching the show might not know much about Neptune, but keep an eye out on this kid when Infinite comes out. He's going to be one of the best players in the game. He already is one of the best players in the game for Halo 5. So just wanted to give him a shout out. But when you think about that group of 3 people and the amount of chemistry and teamwork that they've accumulated, and trust and communication, everything that they have, that's just second nature to them. It's so natural that it takes almost perfect Halo and teamwork and skill from the other team to really put together 3 victories in a series to beat them. So it obviously comes down to maybe Sentinels is having a couple, a bad day, and they lose a game 2 Slayer and a couple close games and they lose the series. But I really think it's hard to beat that team just because of the chemistry they have together, and no other roster right now, aside from the Cloud9, who has 3/4 of their original roster with Penguin instead of Shotzi. But the difference is
that's a big
Sentinels
incentive, right?
The Sentinels has their Shotzi, right? They have Frosty. Cloud9 doesn't have that X factor. Obviously, all the members are amazing, but we all know what we're talking about when we say like the Shotsies and the Frosties, right? So
amazing won't get it done against Sentinels, right? It's
yeah.
just...
The fact that the Cloud9 roster doesn't have their Shotsy, but they do have Penguin, and I think progressively they're gonna get more and more competitive, and we're gonna see them get to the finals pretty soon here, in my opinion, and then face off against Sentinels, and that is gonna be very exciting because we've always talked about how Eco Smith is like that one cog in the piece that really would be needed to put together something that would beat the Sentinels roster. So there is some potential there to kind of push them to that brink and give them a competitive finals. But I think for the time being, we're just going to continue to see Sentinels dominate until some of these other teams kind of catch up and get their footing.
I do want to talk about that Cloud9 team really briefly. Wes, we saw them place top 4. Were you impressed by their performance or disappointed?
Obviously disappointed. I think anything other than honestly a second place, maybe a first place is gonna. I don't know what's going on right now. I think my mouse bungee just fell off. Yeah, disappointment. I think anything other than second place is going to be disappointment, and even that is like almost disappointment for those guys because you almost expect. Like we got to a point in 2018 where I expected those guys to be in every finals, if not win half of them. Against Tox at that time, and I think that like it sucks that we don't have that rivalry right now. Like we look for a rivalry in Halo right now, and we just don't have one. Inconceivables is trying to do it, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do it in Halo 5. They can do it in Halo 3. They can do it in H2A or Reach, and upset Sentinels, but Halo 5 is a different ballgame. Halo 5 is where this Tox roster, the Sentinels team, really made a name for themselves and really separated themselves from the pack for a majority of the tournaments. And with that being said, it's looking like we're going to see Tox on top or Sentinels on top until Infinite comes out, because they have so much cohesiveness with each other already, let alone you ask what it takes to beat them. Like to Faisal, and it's just I'm running through the names in my head. It's like you have Frosty, you have Snakebite, you have Roll 2, and then Neptune or Lethal. I mean, either one. I mean, I look back at the series of teams that were just like the heaviest favorites going into tournaments that I was able to upset through my career, and I'm like, if I'm on fire, my team can beat these guys. It's like I look at the Sentinels team, and I'm like, if I'm on fire, everyone else on my team better be on fire, because we are not going to win the series if all 4 of us are on fire, because all 4 of them are probably on fire. Like it's hardly ever do you see Snakebite not on fire. Royal 2, like
consistency is key for them.
The level of consistency that they bring is insane. Let alone like the strategy and the cohesiveness that they have.
I mean, we're talking about one of the best teams in Halo's history. Like Halo's one of the longest esports games in esports, and we're saying Sentinels is one of the best, or if not the best in history. So with that comes consistency, and they're definitely the definition.
Their floor
of
is
that.
better than most people's ceilings, right?
But it's not like a team consistency. It's like their individual consistency is unheard of. Like never in the history of Halo have you seen 4 individuals that are consistently playing at the level that they play at, and that like remove all the strategy and cohesiveness, like I'm saying that they have. Like those 4 guys, you have to go. You're telling me I have to win more than 50% of my one-on-ones against Frosty, against Snakebite, against Royal 2, or Neptune or Lethal? Like, guys, we got to figure out a game plan that doesn't involve one-on-ones, because you're not going to beat those guys in one-on-ones straight up.
No matter
up.
what corner you come around, you're just like, oh, great.
And just to play devil's advocate, it has been done, and we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it be done, but obviously it takes a like you're saying, Wes, it takes a specific group of like a team of just insane talent, like we saw with Splice. And that talent, I believe, is still out there. There's a whole bunch of different, so much talent in these Halo top pro Halo players that I am excited to see, going into Infinite and even going down these Halo 5 tournaments that we're going to be having every weekend. Like I said before, I do expect to see Sentinels get pushed a little bit further and further as the weeks go on, and potentially maybe lose a couple here and there. It's hard to bet against them, but I think as people get more used to Halo 5, they're going to get to that point where the series are a lot more close. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is not only do you have to have those 4 individuals have the individual skill par to Sentinels, right? You have to have the strategy. You have to be on the same page as well. You have to have the teamwork level that they have. It's like you have to have both of those in order to beat them. And I think that Splice roster that we saw in 2018 really had that. And we saw that they can compete with that level of Halo. But right now, there's no roster that sticks out to my head that's like, not only do they have that individual skill, but they also have the teamwork and whatnot. It's like inconceivable to me. Great individual players. I would put Sentinels above them as individuals, but Inconceivable can play some damn good Halo as far as like teamwork and like strategy is concerned. Like that's how they beat Tox and other Halos. I'm not sure if they're going to have that leg up in Halo 5, right? And we saw the results.
What about Cloud9? And I'll go with Justin. What do you think about Cloud9 and the Eco, Renegade, Stellar, and then Penguin rounding out that roster? What do you think about them and their chances of kind of getting back to par with Sentinels and potentially beating them?
I look at that team and it's like, obviously everything that I say with respect for them and what they've done. They're incredible players. They're much better players than I ever was, and have done a lot more. But when I look at that team, it's lacking in 2 things for me. It's lacking in like the X factor. Like they lost Shotzi, which is like, you're not replacing Shotzi. I'm sorry. Unless you got Frosty on your team, you lost the world-class talent, and it's not your fault, but now you're trying to, pick up the pieces and still be a contender. They're lacking in their X factor, and they're lacking in their heart. Like when I think about Renegade, Eco, Penguin, or Stellar, like where's the passion on that team? Like who's the one person that's going to rally everyone together and get everyone fired up? And maybe, I'm not talking about necessarily being emotional, because we've seen it with certain players in the past, and being emotional is not necessarily the best thing. You have really high highs and really low lows. But when I look at that team, it just feels kind of hollow when I look at it from the outside. And I don't know. I want to see them succeed because, like I said, I love the Eco storyline and the fact that he's given Sentinels a problem throughout his entire career. But I just don't see it happening with this roster.
I want to hold off on that. From my aspect, I want to hold off on them personally before I start to really judge them as a unit. I want to give them a couple more weeks of Halo 5 to grind it out and get into a form where they can call themselves like a practice team. Because a lot of them did take breaks. A lot of them did kind of slack off during this like extended period of like an off season. And I think that when these guys get into like a form of where they're playing every day for 8 hours and whatnot, that they will very quickly catch back up. And no doubt that they have the individual skill, I think, to compete with anybody. The X
factor
don't know
does if they're ever going to be grinding like that,
The X factor does worry me, and yeah, it does take that time. But like, if we're having the same conversation and seeing these same results in 2 months, like after the Halo 5 Pro Series is over, and they've kind of put the results that we've seen them put up over just the past couple of weeks, that would bring me concern for this team. But as of right now, I think they've earned a little bit of time in order to kind of get their ish together and get it going, right?
We've talked about.
I think I'm there with you, Wes, where I've been saying, even in the history of our shows, talking about Eco, talking about this new roster, I have high hopes for them, and I think they're going to be able to reach those limits. Maybe not to the extent that they did with Shotzi, but I do think, like I've been saying, that they can make it back to the finals and potentially even win some here and there. But we're going to have to kind of give them a little bit more time to get, like you're saying, Wes, get used to kind of playing together and just going back to Halo 5, kind of getting back in that mindset, dusting off, some of the dust that may have accumulated. So I expect them to kind of get back into what we what we have seen from them in the past to an extent, just because all those players are so dominant. I would say they're probably on paper, they are the second best. They should be considered the second best team going into Infinite, I would say. That's just my opinion. I think Sentinels is the best team going into Infinite, and this Cloud9 roster, I would say, would be the second best team in my opinion. So
I think you're doing a disservice to Inconceivable, man, when you say that. That team is like better top to bottom, in my opinion, than this Cloud9 team. I mean,
are they as individuals though? I don't think so.
They've been in the top two for.
Put some respect on their name, bro.
I don't. You said right now. You just said. You just said right now. You know.
No, I'm saying going forward, like as far as going in, when Infinite comes out in 2021, Cloud9 will be, in my opinion, will be the second best team after Sentinels.
So my question is, if 2021 hits, Infinite comes out, and Cloud9 has not found themselves in a single finals yet, at that point, would you still stand by that point and say they're the second best team?
I think when the time comes out and it's a new game and everyone's going to grind, all these pro players that are on organizations, they have salaries, they're getting paid to play the game. So literally they're going to be playing 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. When everyone's doing it, and with the fresh game, we've seen the ones who have moved past the others. Even in Halo 5, Renegade, Stellar, Eco, all were better and moved and got to higher heights than the Boo-Boos and the Falcated. So just going off of history, and when a new game comes out and it's time to really put in that work, I do think they're going to be top, like one of the top teams.
It's going to be a rivalry, I think, for sure. Not saying that everybody's competing for second, but what those two teams are going to have to battle each other very consistently, I think, through these tournaments, because I expect them to kind of be the 2-3 seeds for a while. And we're going to see very quickly a rivalry form kind of for that spot in the finals against Sentinels, and who can consistently kind of get there. So that's an exciting factor that we bring up. But I'm with Faisal. Like, if Vegas is putting out odds on the first Halo Infinite World Championship, I think that you definitely have Sentinels as a heavy favorite, and then you have Cloud9 probably around that second place, just based off individuals alone on the team and skill that comes with those guys.
I want to bring up two things really fast before we wrap things up. We've talked about three teams in the top four. I think we would be doing a disservice to the other team that landed themselves a spot in that top four. Faisal, you mentioned earlier, all that really matters is showing up on tournament day. And, last Saturday with the Halo 5 Pro Series was the day to show up. And we saw a team kind of sneak into that top four, come out of nowhere, a team called No Ice. And they kind of put on a show for us. Faisal, what were your thoughts on like that squad and, what they did?
Definitely. I am a fan, man. These guys, No Ice, came out and they were able to take out arguably one of the best group of Halo 5 players right now, which is Fong 4. Even amongst the pro community, like some of the top players, I watch their streams and they do mention that those guys they by far have the most practice in the game and they've played together the most. So they're one of those teams that people aren't necessarily surprised to see get top 4 or get top 2 even potentially, like when it's early in Halo 5 like it is right now. But they were able to beat them in a crazy game 5 and then move on to, push Sentinels to a good series, something that Inconceivable couldn't even do that day. So, they took game 2 pretty handedly in that series, and they had a very close game 4, tied 2-2, and then they ended up losing after almost running a third flag and getting countered on kind of. So, those guys played really, really well. So I want to give a shout out to them. Thank you for bringing them up, because it would have been a disservice to not bring up their performance this last week. And hopefully they can continue this, right? You kind of mentioned it on the rebroadcast. If you guys want to check it out, twitch.tv/onmyxshow. We commentated the Pro Series tournament, but you mentioned it, obviously it's good to see a new group of 4 guys kind of come out and do really well. But then sometimes typically you'll see a player get poached here, maybe a player get poached there. So maybe we'll see, these guys be some of that new blood, some of that new talent kind of seep into some of the good established Halo players and teams. But I don't want to think too far ahead, and I just want to let them enjoy being a great team, and hopefully we can see them continue that.
Yeah, it was funny when I think his name was JK, the 10 cents guy, was streaming that. when they won that series against Fung 4, he has like his stream alerts, and I remember seeing on the stream alerts, it was like literally in a row, it was like Gilkey is now following, Straight Sick is now following, Commonly is now following. And I remember like the last time I saw something like that was when, you remember when Shelly and his team early on in the Halo 3 thing matched Talks in that finals, and they saw him streaming, and he was pretty much immediately poached for that Denial team. I was like watching, I was like, oh, these guys think they're slick, like, you know what I mean, scoping the guy out and following to see what he's about. So
hey,
yeah,
you got to scout. You got to scout.
Yeah.
If you want to put together a good team, you want to find these young talents, you have to scout, and that's part of it. I kind of want to play devil's advocate though, to a sense of like Funk 4 had so much success coming like across the past like 5 months of Halo 5, and now that it feels like all the big dogs are back in town, that's when they get upset and land outside of the top 4 in the first Pro Series. It's got to be a pretty disappointing finish from them, because they went on to win a lot of those esports arenas tournaments over the past odd months, and Renegade obviously not going to be playing with them. Like, what's their success going to look like now that they don't have Renegade, and that they're having to play against the likes of Sentinels, the likes of Cloud9, and all these teams? That was a big question mark for me, and they end up getting tripped up by No Ice. That's a very disappointing tournament from Funk 4. Those are supposed to be who we're talking about, that the players that are going to get poached, the players that are the next up and comers that might find themselves a good org, and they don't do their job. They get upset even. So big shout out to No Ice, but like Funk 4, we got to see more out of you going into this next Pro Series, because people are watching. Like you said,
people
like
are getting
JK,
signed.
You see JK's like following, like all these like official pros are starting to like pay attention and follow JK stream. Like, that is supposed to be your spot, Funk 4. Like, those, everyone's supposed to have eyes on you during those series and not No Ice. And you lost that opportunity with that upset. So it might just be an online Halo 5 Pro Series to some people, but it is an opportunity to get your name out there, to get your gameplay watched against some of the best in the world. And JK impressed the hell out of all of us when we got to watch his screen. And the rest of the No Ice guys follow suit, right? So let that be a little nugget towards the end of the show as we wrap it up. Everyone is watching these things, and pros are paying attention. So
and real money is heading back to the Halo scene, right? Real money is heading back. People are getting signed. We're seeing these big orgs jump in, and that's my last point. I mean, if you're watching this show on Monday, then you can probably go on Twitter and check it out. But Envy is announcing their Halo team, here on Monday. And in my mind, it's between one of two teams. So I'll get you guys' prediction really quick. But it's either you probably already know. It's either the Inconceivable roster, who obviously is not on an org. I mean, I guess it could be Magnanimous as well, but we haven't heard from Ola, Trippy, those guys in a while to see what they're doing. So kind of up in the air. So we want to hear you guys' predictions. Faisal, go ahead. You got a thought.
We're just gonna have to wait and see, who the roster is, and when they announce it tomorrow, like Justin was saying, you see your little kitty in the background doing his thing. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for episode 10 here on My X. We had, in my opinion, it was my favorite episode. We got to bring on a Halo legend that is Frosty, have an inside scoop of an interview, and really kind of show you guys hear his side of the story, I guess, and kind of hear from him. So really happy we were able to do that for this show. But that's going to do it for me to close out once again on My X episode 10, joined by Clutch, Wes Price, and Hunter JJX, Justin Joseph. And until next week, guys, we are out.
Peace
out.